Our last job is to add media queries in order to make a nicer experience for users on smaller devices. So right now, this layout starts looking a little bit crunched when I'm at a smaller size, and the boss has given us 700 pixels as our magic changing value. So I'm going to head over to the CSS and write my media queries. You don't need a comment here, but it's quite common to have one. At media screen and max width 700. So just a moment about the magic number here. This could be a corporate decision, like your firm always has these particular breaks, usually where where popular devices might live. So you have particular specific numbers that you use for these. You may have client requirements that make you specify these numbers. But somewhere you will have decided as a team what these numbers are going to be. For WordPress, some of these are already preset and that you already have a theme that's dealing with these breaks for media queries. So what do I want to do? I need to make a single column layout for this size instead of floating columns. And I need to make those images that are the content images of those cats, I need to make those 100% rather than the size that they currently are. How big are they currently? Right now they're always 200 pixels no matter what. So we'll make those 100% rather than 200 pixels. So right now my floating columns are taken care of by this sidebar float and the content. So let me just say that the sidebar is not floating anymore. The content in this example is not floating, already not floating, but I'm just going to add it to this rule because often you will find that the content, that both sides are floating. Float none. Save and refresh. And let's get down to 700 breakpoint. Oop, there we are. Okay, so at this point, this looks good. We should also. So right now they're not floating, but this one's still only taking up its old width, and the same is true down here if we look. So let's make sure that the widths stretch all the way across. Width 100%. Save and refresh. Better. So that was step 2. And my third step is these should now, they should not be floating, and they should be, because this was floating right, and this one's floating floating left, etc. So we need to take the floats off these and make these also 100%. So we're doing the same thing for all these elements. So I'm going to put them in the same rule. So I'm going to say, and in order to override, I need to make this area as specific or more specific than these items up here. So usually I will use the same selector that I'm using up here, down here. So that I might say content figure.odd, and I'm just going to combine them all together. Okay, so all these the float gets removed and the width gets set to 100%. Refresh. This is looking pretty good. There's a little bit something screwy going on with the margin that we're going to need to fix, but otherwise good. So these are dangling a little bit outside their container. That looks a little weird. So let's have a quick moment with this. Inspect. Where is that? First of all, is it margin or padding? Because look, yeah, look at that. It's no good. Okay, it is margin that we're caring about here, that orange margin that's causing the dangle issue. And where is it coming from? Normalized. It's coming from the normalized style sheet. So the normalized style sheet had decided that 1 EM and 40 pixels are the margin. That's why we're getting what we're getting. If I didn't have the normalized style sheet on, we would be getting it. Okay, we would be letting the browser decide, so which we don't want to do either. So let's not do that. So let's take the margin off for those figures when we get to that smaller size. I think it looked pretty nice. I like the default normalized margins when we were at the larger size. But although I'm not totally sure if I like that over on the left now that I'm looking at it. It's not like totally making me mad, but I kind of would like to have that flush. But right now I'm supposed to be focusing on the media query, so I'm going to do that. So for content figure odd and content figure even, let me just take those, call those out because I don't want to affect the margins of the other things. I'll make it its own rule. And let's take the, I kind of liked the 1em top and bottom margin. It was the 40 pixels side margin that I didn't like. So I'm just going to say let's leave the margins 1em top and bottom, and let's zero them out side to side. Save. And come on back to the small size so we can see that looks great. Love it. Yep, I'm happy with that. So at this point, I like the zero margins so much on the left-hand ones that I may consider making that same switch in the full layout. So over here where I'm looking at the float left ones, I might consider saying margin 1em 0 here too. And if I like it there, let's look at the bigger size. Oh, see, that's hard. I like it on the left, then it really does need to be 40 pixels on the right, I think look nice. So I'd have to make a more specific rule for that one. I can't use this same one. I like the 1em on the left-hand side. So let's say, or on the other side. So 1em, this is the top to bottom number, and this is the left to right number. So I'm going to start with 1em at the top, go around clockwise, and say 40 pixels was fine from the more normalized style sheet. 1em on the bottom and 0 on the left-hand side, remembering that we start top and then we go clockwise, top, right, bottom, and left. Refresh. Yeah, so this is sort of extra. I just didn't like the way it looked when it had that extra 40 pixels of margin in from the content. But in terms of media queries, it's quite simple to make this look reasonably good.